Welcome to This Wild Journey, the podcast where your body, your brain, and your battle plan come together. If you're reeling from betrayal trauma, drowning in the chaos of divorce or custody court, feeling overwhelmed by post-trauma parenting, you are in the right place. We're here to untangle hard truths that bring clarity and courage so you can reclaim your power, protect your peace, and resolve trauma without reliving it. Let's get to work. Hey, friend. Welcome back to This Wild Journey. I'm Sarah McDugal, coach, strategist, survivor, and fellow traveler through the foggiest parts of life after trauma. Today, my voice is still recovering from some viral laryngitis, but I am going to do my level best to not sound like a cross between the gravel truck and the Grinch as we talk about something that hits a whole lot harder than most people want to admit, and that is holiday grief. Holiday grief is something that so many protective parents suffer, often in silence, in isolation. It's that heavy burden of processing, not just the fact that there's this quiet panic of realizing that life doesn't look anything like what you thought you were building, but it's also the stolen future. And that can hit really, really hard at the holidays. So if this season feels heavier than normal, and all those glittery commercials and stupid Hallmark movies, no offense if you love them, but if they make it seem so heavy, you're not alone. So let's take a breath together and let's talk about holiday grief. In one of my recent Freedom Navigator base camp clinics, I call them compass clinics, someone shared something that hit the whole room, kind of right in the feels. Base camp is one of the amazing services with Freedom Navigator for protective parents. It's strategy support calls and group support and tactical tools and templates for surviving high conflict divorce and custody court. She said, I always imagined I would grow old with one person. And now I'm scared I will be alone, and I don't even know when I'm elderly who's going to take care of me someday. And as she spoke, you could really feel this sense of quiet grief rising in everyone that was there, because it is so real. That is a deep human grief. And most of us who've survived traumatic relationships have probably felt some version of that fear. I remember thinking about my own story and how my parents had been together almost 60 years. And how when I was a kid and a teenager, and a young adult, I just assumed that that kind of companionship would be my story too. That I would meet one person and marry probably young and live that kind of partnership all the way through to the end of life, because that's what I watched my parents do. And even after everything that I've lived through, I'm still that kind of girl at heart. And maybe you are too. Maybe you sit here and you think the divorce that I experienced or that I'm going through right now was absolutely unwanted. It was nothing that I ever dreamed about. Maybe you're sitting there telling yourself, I was never a first marriage kind of girl or guy. I was an only marriage kind of young person. And the grief about that not being your reality right now during the holidays, maybe that's hitting you really hard, right in the gut. But one of the things that came up in our Compass Clinic, our discussion, was that leaving a destructive relationship doesn't mean that you stop believing in marriage. And it doesn't mean you necessarily stop believing in love. It just means that you've stopped tolerating that counterfeit version of it, the abusive version that wasn't healthy, that wasn't healing, that wasn't whole. And you've actually raised the bar. You raised your standards. But when you're in the middle of the holidays, they kind of have this way of holding up a mirror to everything we've lost, right? Or maybe everything you never had, or maybe everything you hoped for and you didn't get. So if your heart is aching more than normal this December, I just want to say that that is normal and it is okay to name it. There's a reason that your emotional intensity spikes this time of year. And one of those reasons is that during trauma, your nervous system learns to brace itself. And during the holidays, your nervous system may remember what it used to feel when things were safe, and you're noticing what you miss now. Or your holidays may be a stark reminder to your nervous system of how bad things have been in the past during the holidays. And that stands in stark contrast, if you're out of it, to the peace and calm now, and you're able to finally process. But either way, you're probably navigating disrupted traditions and pressure as a solo parent to make it magical for the kids. And maybe you're juggling these complicated co-parenting schedules and loneliness and financial stress and the grief that sneaks up in between shopping for presents and wrapping them. And it's not necessarily that you are particularly fragile. It's more that the holiday season can be really emotionally, and it's okay to sit with that. One of the ways to process some of this that has been super healing for me and a whole lot of my coaching clients is to make an inventory, to make a practice of naming what has been stolen from you. Now, I don't recommend doing this all at once. I do recommend processing through it with your therapist or at least a compassionate, close friend. But it does not need to be some dramatic journaling marathon or something that gets you so dysregulated that you're dissociating and checked out or feeling really, really flooded. It can be really super helpful to name one true thing at a time. So you might write something like 5 years of my motherhood was stolen by court trauma. My confidence in my potential career abilities was stolen. My peaceful family traditions were stolen. I lost my ability to trust easily. The vision that I had for my future was ripped away from me. This can sound really heavy, and it is, but here's why it matters. Because grief that stays unnamed, unverbalized, tends to turn into silent shackles. It can become something that feels really shameful and that you end up blaming yourself for instead of acknowledging what actually happened. And grief that is acknowledged can become a solid groundwork for healing. So, naming the things that have been stolen, naming the losses that you're grieving doesn't have to be dwelling in your past or living in victimhood. It can actually be laying a foundation to reclaim what was taken so that you can rebuild with intentional purposefulness. And I want to give you a couple of simple tools that you can use starting today to help you survive this holiday intensity. So here's number one, the one thing practice. This is where you just ask yourself, what is one thing that would make this season a little more bearable? Not magical, just bearable. And it does not need to be one thing that is out of reach. It needs to be one thing that you can actually achieve. It might be paper plates. That would be the one thing that makes this season more bearable. Whatever it is for you. It doesn't have to be something that makes it magical, just bearable, and that is enough. Here's a second tool, and that is the safe enough tradition. Choose one new holiday tradition or pick one from the past that feels good-ish. The point is that it needs to be something that's just not draining. Drop the rest. All of the high pressure nonsense, all of the massive sense of obligation, the rat race, the financial drain, just drop it. You're allowed. Pick one thing. And if your kids are old enough, talk to them about choosing one thing that's important to them. And that could be making hot chocolate together every night of the week leading up to Christmas. That could be making your own paper Christmas chains. That could be stringing popcorn like they did in Little House on the Prairie. It can be cheap or free. It can be super low energy. It can be really accessible. Just something that is safe enough. And here's number 3. And this is giving yourself a sentence of truth. Identifying one thing that is true every morning. Tell yourself, today it makes sense that I feel blank because blank. This could sound like, today it makes sense that I feel tired because 1 year ago I was in the hospital. Or today it makes sense that I feel sad because tomorrow my kids have to go to the other parent and I'm not going to have them for the next week. Today, it makes sense that I feel X because Y. This practice of identifying a truth and speaking it out loud to yourself can help you interrupt that shame cycle. And it's verbally grounding. It helps you increase emotional regulation. And if you want to go deeper into tools like this, or you need people who really, really get it, walking alongside you each week, I want to invite you to join me in Base Camp. Base Camp is my protective parent survival hub. We do trauma-informed Compass Clinic calls every single week. They're live. You can access them every week or just show up once a month, whatever works for you. It gives you that sense of, I'm not alone. And that is honestly one of the most healing parts of the whole experience. Now, the doors may be closed right now, depending on when you're listening, but you can always join the wait list if that's what's up on the website, www.myfreedomnavigator.com. There's even a needs-based scholarship that reduces the cost for those who are on state aid or receiving legal aid. If the holidays are incredibly hard, or you are looking at just surviving the holidays before making some massive decisions in the new year, Base Camp is there for you with tactical tools, proven, battle-tested, court-ready templates for your evidence organization, and weekly Compass clinics so that you have a safe place to let your hair down and process through what it really means to navigate the court system as a protective parent. In the meantime, join me for just a moment to take a deep breath. Put your hand on your heart. Inhale. Exhale. You're not failing. You're not behind. You are becoming. And yes, this holiday season may feel loud and chaotic, but I believe in you. And I believe that you are stronger and softer and braver than you even know. Thank you for joining me today on this wild journey. We're here with you every step of the way. And I can't wait for when Coach Bren is not sick and able to record with me again for our upcoming episodes. We'll be back. Brought to you by Wilderness to Wild. www.thiswildjourneypodcast.com